Welcome to the IMIX Group Market Intelligence On Demand webinar, IT Sales Opportunities at the VA. Everything you need to know, but were afraid to ask. Over the next few minutes, I'm going to go over one of the most significant changes at the VA that we've seen over the last few years, the reorganization and expansion of the OINT mission. And I'll also talk about the ways that that is going to drive COTS opportunities and your go-to-market strategy in the coming years. I will begin by taking a look at the organizational structure of OINT as a whole. And there are a few different changes here that I think are really worth calling out and will significantly shape your market as a VA salesperson. First and foremost, as of the date of recording, there is no permanent CIO here because we haven't seen one appointed since Laverne Council stepped down. Now you'll notice that I said appointed, and that's because the VA is a little bit unusual. It's the only civilian agency whose CIO is a presidential appointee that requires Senate confirmation. Now again, as of the date of recording, that is not something that seems all that high on anybody's radar, so we may have to prepare for temporary leadership here for the foreseeable future. Fortunately, a lot of the reorganization that we've seen over the last few years here has been about future-proofing, making sure that this group can continue to drive the change that it needs, even in a leadership vacuum. Now, there are three critical offices that COTS manufacturers need to know about here. The first is the new-look Chief Information Security Officer, CISO. Big news there is Rupangi Kadakia is no longer serving in that role. And there are a few changes as well that I'll discuss in a few slides. Next is the Enterprise Program Management Office, or EPMO, which is an evolution of the old product development group. So you'll see a lot of the application development and support functions that still roll up there, but it's also increasingly the central repository for program management knowledge at the department. And finally, you've got IT Operations and Services, otherwise known as IT Ops, which is really just a rebranded SD&E group, and that's where your infrastructure lives. So if you work in the Austin Data Center or at the NOC down in Martinsburg, West Virginia, those are going to be your customers. Now, in addition to the changes that I just named, there is one other key organizational group that I think is worth looking out for this year, and those are the IT account management teams that OINT stood up towards the end of FY16. There are three that we in the COTS world need to care about, one that focuses on veteran health, one that focuses on benefits, and a third that looks at core or enterprise IT functions across the VA. These account teams matter because they act as a liaison between the technical end users, the folks who are going to be day-to-day users of your technology, and the people that own the mission or the budget at the headquarters level. They can act as critical advocates for you, and they really are important for you to get in front of if you operate with a ground-up or bottoms-up sales strategy. And on a more strategic level, thinking past organizational change and looking more at the way that OINT wants to run their business, there are a couple critical things that were put into place in FY16 that will really start to feel in FY17 and beyond. The first of those is the Veteran-Focused Integrated Process, or VIP, which is VA's name for Agile Development, but comes with some very ambitious goals, including 3-month delivery cycles on all Veterans Affairs technology programs. Now that's a big deal. It means that you have a lot more opportunity to get in front of potential customers, and almost more importantly, if you have existing installs here, you have to make sure that your customers are using them and are satisfied, because you can bet that your competitors will be in front of them as well. And on the cybersecurity side, we're also seeing a pretty significant evolution from FY16's Enterprise Cybersecurity Strategy team. That group was never supposed to be permanent, and we're starting to hear that maybe even this year it will be replaced by 8 permanent cybersecurity domain teams. All 8 of them are up on the slide here, and so I'm not going to go through all of them. I think that the 3 most important for COTS manufacturers are going to be medical cyber, application and software development, and operations, telecommunications, and network security. But no matter which domain you end up working with, what you need to expect out of these teams is earlier and more frequent contact between your customers and CISO. And they're really going to be driving that security conversation from the very beginning stages of product development, which is a long-awaited change here at the VA. And finally, we need to touch on some of the major programs coming out of the department, and of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention VISTA, which is the Homegrown Electronic Health Record at VA, and is looking at some pretty major changes in terms of strategic direction for the program. This is the first year that we're going to really see a rollout of something called the Digital Health Platform, or DHP, which has an EHR component, but is also made up of CRM, human resource management, supply chain management, and even financial management to be used in a standardized way across the entire VA enterprise. The DHP is also going to be a cloud-based application. So working with CSRA with their recently awarded cloud services contract will be critical here, and you'll want to make sure that you're staying in front of EPMO to capture some of the business that's likely to come out of this evolution of VISTA. Now, that was just a quick teaser for the information covered in my full-length webinar on this topic. If you'd like to know more, please click on the link you see on this screen for that full presentation.